America has some truly beautiful and expansive states, but many of them are becoming sparsely populated. Some states are facing economic decline, some have brutal weather, and others are simply too remote. While vast, open spaces and quiet sounds can be appealing, extreme isolation can push people to the brink. These states possess a mysterious force driving people away quickly, and the stories behind these locations are captivating. We will explore 10 U.S. states that are struggling to retain their populations. Number 10. Wyoming. Wyoming is a state where the map stretches wide and the silence runs deep. With a population of barely over 580,000 spread across a land mass larger than the United Kingdom, it holds the title of the emptiest state in America. Behind those dramatic numbers is a deeper story shaped by isolation, a struggling economy, and the raw force of nature. While the scenery of towering peaks and windswept plains is breathtaking, it's paired with a tough reality. Wyoming's economy is built on coal, oil, and natural gas, industries that are in steep decline. As energy production shrinks, jobs vanish, and with few alternative industries stepping in, entire towns are hollowing out. Young people especially see no future here. They grow up in the rugged wild and then move elsewhere for opportunity, leaving behind aging communities and shuttered storefronts. Then there's the climate. Winters in Wyoming aren't just cold, they're brutal. Temperatures regularly plunge below zero, and blizzards can bury highways and isolate entire regions. Heavy snowfall can mean days without fresh supplies, travel, or even electricity. It's not just an inconvenience, it's a matter of survival. Even nature, majestic as it is, carries an edge of danger. Yellowstone National Park sits atop one of the world's largest supervolcanoes. Although dormant, its presence is a constant undercurrent in local life, a reminder that the ground beneath your feet could one day shake with unimaginable force. Despite all this, Wyoming has a fiercely loyal culture. It's a place of deep independence where traditions like ranching, rodeo, and hunting are passed down through generations. People here value resilience and a lifestyle that demands grit. But that same toughness also means fewer people choose to stay. Wyoming's vast emptiness isn't just a matter of geography, it reflects a deeper pattern of out-migration, economic fragility, and climatic extremes that continue to push the population downward. Number 9. Vermont. Vermont, famous for its postcard-worthy landscapes, autumn foliage, and world-class maple syrup, seems like a state that should be flourishing. But beneath the beauty of its rolling hills and quaint villages is a less idyllic reality. People are leaving. The reasons run deeper than most assume. First, Vermont is expensive. Property taxes are high, housing is limited, and groceries and utilities are above the national average. Unless you already own property or work remotely, carving out a stable life here isn't easy. The job market doesn't help either. Outside of small-scale agriculture, tourism, and a few specialized industries, opportunities are scarce. Vermont lacks large corporate hubs or major industries, which means many residents, especially the younger generation, struggle to find long-term employment. Over time, many pack up and move elsewhere in search of better futures. Then there's the winter. It's long, harsh, and relentless. Vermont receives some of the heaviest snowfalls in the country, and freezing temperatures can stretch from November to April. The snow is beautiful on a postcard, but living through 5 months of icy roads, power outages, and gray skies wears people down. For newcomers, the novelty fades fast. For locals, it's just another reason the population keeps thinning. Demographically, the state is aging quickly. With fewer young adults staying or moving in, Vermont faces a shrinking workforce and growing economic pressure to support an older population. Local schools are closing, small businesses are struggling to find staff, and once thriving towns are slowly losing their vibrancy. Still, Vermont holds a strong appeal for those who treasure quiet, safety, and deep-rooted community. It consistently ranks among the safest states in the U.S., and its commitment to conservation and local agriculture gives it a unique cultural identity. However, for many Americans, the reality of high costs and limited opportunities outweighs the romance. Number 8. North Dakota. North Dakota offers some of the widest horizons in the country, with its vast prairies, small-town charm, and incredibly low crime rates. You'd think more people would be drawn here, but instead, the state remains one of the most sparsely populated in America, and it's not hard to see why. Let's start with the weather. North Dakota isn't just cold, it's extreme. Winter temperatures can plummet to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and blizzards aren't just common, they're legendary. Roads disappear under feet of snow, and wind chills can turn a simple walk outside into a dangerous ordeal. Life doesn't just slow down in the winter, it can completely shut down. Then there's the isolation. North Dakota's largest city, Fargo, has just over 130,000 people. Beyond that, small towns are scattered across hundreds of miles of open plains. In many places, the silence is so deep it can feel eerie. While some people find comfort in the quiet, others find it unbearable. There's not much nightlife, limited entertainment, and few places to gather, and loneliness can become part of daily life. The economy has also shifted. During the oil boom, North Dakota saw a burst of growth, with jobs, income, and new residents flooding in. But as the boom faded, so did the momentum. Many of those jobs disappeared or plateaued, leaving fewer reasons for people, especially young workers, to stick around. Today, the population is aging, and the outflow of younger generations continues. And yet, it's not all bleak. The state still offers low taxes, affordable housing, and communities that are safe, tight-knit, and welcoming. People wave when they pass on the road, and neighbors help each other out. But for many Americans, that isn't enough to offset the cold, the distance, and the sense of being cut off from the rest of the country. That's why, despite all its charm and quiet strength, North Dakota remains largely empty. Number 7. South Dakota. South Dakota is a place many have heard of but few choose to call home. It's where Mount Rushmore stands tall, an iconic tribute carved into granite and known around the world. The Black Hills and wide open prairies offer natural beauty that's hard to match. Yet, despite all this, South Dakota remains one of the most sparsely populated states in America. Life here isn't easy. Winters are brutally cold, with biting winds and heavy snow that can shut down entire towns. Summers swing the other way, hot, dry, and unpredictable, and tornadoes are not rare. The climate alone makes everyday living a challenge for those not used to extremes. Then there's the economy. Outside of a few growing areas like Sioux Falls and Rapid City, jobs can be scarce, and wages tend to be low. Outside of the tourist season, many small towns feel like they're just hanging on. While tourism brings in money, especially near national parks and landmarks, it's temporary. Once the crowds leave, things quiet down fast. Young people, in particular, often don't stay. With no major cities, no booming tech hubs, and very little in terms of nightlife or entertainment, many head elsewhere in search of opportunity. The slower pace and wide spaces appeal to some, but for many, it feels isolating. Still, South Dakota holds onto its identity, rooted in a frontier spirit, strong communities, and a deep connection to the land. For those who love peace, space, and a slower rhythm of life, it's a haven. But for the rest, it's simply another state that's easy to overlook on the map. Number 6. Montana. Montana is one of the most visually stunning places in America. It is a vast, rugged, and untamed landscape with snow-capped mountains and endless prairies. National parks like Glacier and Yellowstone guard some of the most awe-inspiring wilderness in the world, and yet, barely 1 million people live here. To understand why, you need to look past the beauty. Montana is enormous, big enough to fit Virginia, South Carolina, and Pennsylvania combined. But that space isn't filled with cities or highways. It's open, remote, and in many places, completely isolated. Some small towns are so far from basic services that a trip to the grocery store can turn into a half-day journey. In an emergency, medical care is a luxury you might not have. The weather is another hurdle. Winters in Montana aren't just cold, they're punishing, with sub-zero temperatures, blizzards that bury cars, and icy roads that stay frozen for months. In some areas, snow accumulates so heavily that people literally have to dig their way out of their homes. And when the snow finally melts, flooding season begins. Summer brings relief, but also massive wildfires that blanket the sky with smoke and turn daylight into a reddish haze. Nature here doesn't just surround you, it tests you. Grizzly bears roam freely in certain regions, and spotting one is a real risk. For those unfamiliar with the backcountry, even a simple hike can carry serious consequences. Jobs are limited, especially outside of ranching, tourism, and remote work. If you're not part of those industries or able to work online, finding stable employment is difficult. Wages often trail behind the national average, and many people leave for better prospects elsewhere. Housing is its own contradiction. In remote counties, land sells for next to nothing. But in scenic towns near national parks, prices have surged, fueled by wealthy buyers from other states looking for second homes. Montana offers unmatched beauty and raw freedom for those who crave it, but that same wild charm comes with serious trade-offs, making it a dream for adventurers but a challenge for those seeking stability. Number 5. West Virginia. West Virginia is a state with deep roots and a proud past, but today it's losing people faster than almost anywhere else in America. Once the heart of the nation's coal industry, it now tells a very different story marked by economic collapse, shrinking towns, and generational struggles. Coal was the engine that powered this state for over a century. It built communities, supported families, and gave West Virginia its identity. But as the coal industry declined, so did the livelihoods tied to it. Mines closed, jobs disappeared, and entire towns once busy and full of promise now stand half empty. Without alternatives, many families were forced to leave in search of opportunity elsewhere. What's left behind is an economy stuck in neutral, where wages are low and upward mobility is rare. West Virginia now ranks among the highest in poverty nationwide, with many living paycheck to paycheck in places where even basic services can be hard to find. The geography, while breathtaking, adds to the challenge. The Appalachian Mountains cut the state into isolated pockets where roads twist for miles and modern infrastructure struggles to keep up. Some towns feel frozen in time, not in a charming way, but in a way that makes progress feel nearly impossible. Still, there's no denying the beauty. The rolling hills, winding rivers, and close-knit towns offer a slower pace of life that some cherish. For those seeking quiet nature and a return to simpler living, West Virginia holds a quiet appeal. But for the majority, especially younger generations, it's a place they feel they need to leave behind in order to move forward. Number 4. Nebraska. What happens when a state is known more for its silence than its scenery? That's the question facing Nebraska, a place so flat and quiet that even locals refer to it as the middle of nowhere. With its endless cornfields, small towns, and famously friendly communities, Nebraska seems like it should offer a peaceful life. But for many, that peace comes at the cost of opportunity, excitement, and connection. There are no mountains, no oceans, and few big attractions to draw newcomers in. Outside of Omaha and Lincoln, the state is made up of rural landscapes that feel unchanged for decades. While that may appeal to those looking for a slower pace, it does little to keep young people interested. To them, Nebraska often feels like a place you grow up in but leave as soon as you can. Weather adds more weight to the decision to stay or go. Summers can be blisteringly hot, winter's brutally cold, and spring brings the threat of tornadoes. Sitting squarely in Tornado Alley, Nebraska faces some of the most destructive storms in the country, capable of leveling homes and entire towns in minutes. Economically, the picture is just as uneven. Agriculture still dominates, and outside the larger cities, job options are limited. High-paying careers are rare, and for those without ties to the land or family businesses, the path forward is often unclear. Many are forced to choose between staying close to home and pursuing a better future elsewhere. Despite affordable housing and low crime rates, Nebraska faces a familiar rural challenge. Young people leave, populations shrink, and communities age. Towns that once thrived now struggle to keep schools open and businesses running. Nebraska offers simplicity, space, and sincerity. But for most, those strengths aren't enough to outweigh the isolation. Number 3. Alaska. Why do so many people move to Alaska only to pack up and leave just a few years later? On the surface, it looks like a dream: towering mountains, untouched wilderness, and a sense of adventure you can't find anywhere else in America. But the truth is, Alaska's beauty comes with some serious challenges, and most people aren't ready for them. The biggest obstacle is the cold. Winter in Alaska isn't just uncomfortable, it can be brutal. In some regions, temperatures plunge to -50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not just "wear a jacket" weather. That's "your car won't start, your pipes might freeze, and your eyelashes can frost over" weather. And in parts of the state, the sun disappears for months at a time, making it feel like the middle of the night even at noon. Then there's the isolation. Alaska is massive, larger than Texas, California, and Montana combined, but fewer than 1 million people live there. Many towns are so remote they can only be reached by plane, boat, or snowmobile. Even in the bigger cities like Anchorage or Fairbanks, you're still hundreds of miles from the next urban center. That kind of distance changes everything. A routine trip to the doctor or grocery store can become a serious challenge. And it's not just the cold and the distance. It's the wildlife too. Bears wandering through backyards, moose blocking highways, and wolves roaming on the outskirts are all a part of life. Living here means coexisting with nature in a very real, often unpredictable way. Alaska does have some economic strengths. Jobs in oil, fishing, and government can pay well, but high salaries often come with high prices. Groceries, housing, and fuel cost significantly more than in the lower 48. Shipping everything from thousands of miles away drives up the price of almost every necessity. For those who crave solitude, rugged terrain, and a wild kind of freedom, Alaska offers something no other state can match. But for most people, the extremes of weather, distance, and lifestyle make it a place that's easier to visit than to stay. Number 2. Kansas. Tucked in the very center of the United States, Kansas is a state many people drive through but few ever choose to stay. It's a land of wide horizons, deep farming routes, and tight-knit communities. Yet, despite its central location and generous open space, Kansas continues to lose ground as one of the most sparsely populated places in the country. There's a reason it's often described as forgettable. Kansas is famously flat, with no mountain ranges, no oceans, and few natural attractions to break up the landscape. Long stretches of highway pass through quiet farmland where it's not uncommon to travel for hours without seeing another soul. The scenery feels endless and, for many, empty. Life here also comes with intense weather swings. Summers are punishingly hot, while winters bring harsh winds and icy cold. And then there's the tornado risk. Kansas sits squarely in Tornado Alley and regularly faces some of the most destructive storms in the U.S., capable of wiping out entire neighborhoods with little warning. Economic opportunities are limited. Agriculture still dominates, and while it sustains the state, it doesn't offer broad career options or competitive wages. Other key industries like aviation and manufacturing are regionally important, but they don't generate enough growth to keep young workers from heading out in search of something more. Culturally, Kansas struggles to compete. With no major professional sports teams, limited nightlife, and few entertainment hubs, it's not a magnet for people looking for a dynamic lifestyle. Even Kansas City, the closest taste of urban excitement, sits mostly across the state line in Missouri. For most Americans, especially younger generations chasing opportunities and energy, it simply doesn't offer enough to stick around. Number 1. Mississippi. Standing at the top of today's list is Mississippi, a state rich in culture but weighed down by some of the toughest living conditions in the country. Known for its blues music, Southern hospitality, and deep historical legacy, Mississippi also faces deep-rooted challenges that continue to drive people away. Economically, the state ranks at the very bottom of the nation. Mississippi has the lowest median household income in the U.S., and job opportunities are limited outside of agriculture, small manufacturing, and public sector work. High-paying careers are rare, and many residents are stuck living paycheck to paycheck with little chance for upward mobility. The situation in education is just as troubling. Mississippi consistently ranks among the lowest in school quality, with underfunded classrooms, low teacher salaries, and poor academic performance. Families who want better futures for their children often look elsewhere, and many young adults leave as soon as they graduate high school. Healthcare is another major concern. The state has some of the highest rates of chronic illnesses like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Access to quality healthcare is limited, especially in rural areas, and many residents struggle to afford basic medical treatment. On top of all that, the climate can be punishing. Summers are long, hot, and humid. Hurricanes and flash floods pose real threats during storm season, sometimes wiping out homes and entire neighborhoods in just a few hours. Still, Mississippi isn't without heart. The people are welcoming, the food is soulful, and the cultural legacy runs deep, from gospel and blues to literature and civil rights history. But for most Americans, the lack of economic opportunity, poor infrastructure, and difficult living conditions make it a place to leave, not settle down in. This concludes our look at the 10 U.S. states that are struggling to hold on to their populations. From the frozen landscapes of Alaska to the poverty-stricken towns of Mississippi, each of these places carries its own challenges and its own story. While many Americans are drawn to fast-paced cities and growing job markets, these states offer something different: quiet, space, tradition, and resilience. They're not for everyone, but they're far from forgotten.